Within, written by Mario R. Coello. Fade in, a montage. We see flashing images of views seen from a window, squirrels and trees, traffic in the street, people talking in the street, insects in the grass, clouds in fast motion. We see the vacant-eyed stare of a teenage girl, Virginia, staring out the window, an occasional twitch to her mouth, but otherwise no sign that she interacts with any of the world she records onto her damaged mind. She is about 18, maybe 19 years old, but has the appearance of a very little girl. The images now also include a point of view of Virginia's mother, Doris, smiling sweetly at her, encouraging her.
You're Mama's little girl, Virginia. No one's ever gonna hurt you as long as I'm here.
Interior, Virginia's room, day. From outside of Virginia's perspective, we see the reality of the situation. Doris feeds Virginia, forcing open her mouth, trying to get her to swallow. Here she looks haggard and emotionless, looking at her daughter with no sign of sweetness. Doris finishes the feeding and places a nearby stuffed cat on Virginia's lap. She leaves the room. Virginia continues to stare out the window, her imaginary mother's sweet cooing still echoing in her mind.
You're Mama's little girl, Virginia.
Interior living room, day. At a table sits a handsome, professional-looking man of middle age, Dr. Richard. He writes notes as Doris enters the room. She rubs her face tiredly.
It seems to get harder each day to get food past her lips. I don't know how much longer I can take it, Richard. I really don't.
It's still too early to give her another injection. I'm sorry, Doris. I really thought this newest treatment would result in some sort of miracle.
Haven't you always been fond of saying there are no miracles in science?
I don't want you to drive yourself nuts over her. I told you when I took over her case from Dr. Geller that I wasn't going to run out on either of you.
Oh, Geller, that son of a...
Now there are always other options for her. Think about what we discussed. What would have to happen if the treatments didn't work?
But one of those places? An institution? I don't know if I could.
She's never even going to know the difference, isn't she? It's time you started thinking about what's best for you. For us.
Richard kisses her cheek. Doris looks at him adoringly, her face brightening.
I don't know what I would have done if I hadn't found you. My Richard.
They kiss. Interior, Virginia's room, day. We are back to the vacant face of Virginia, still staring. She holds the stuffed toy cat. A small frown tugs at her lips. Doris's voice, small and tinny, echoes in her mind repeatedly.
But an institution? Institution? One of those places. Those places.
We slowly move into her face, dissolving into her mind, into her inner life. Interior of Virginia's mind. It is a timeless, spaceless void, just darkness. Virginia sits under a spotlight, now animated, laughing like a child. Here, the toy cat is now a real cat, rubbing against her. She looks up suddenly, frowning. Doris's echoing voice growing louder.
An institution? One of those places? That's where you belong, my dear.
Doris again leers into the camera, her aspect totally opposite from the previous sweet demeanor Virginia had imagined. Now she's a spitting witch.
You'll never be a daughter to me, sweetie. Why don't we just put you where you belong? Or are you going to say something in your defense?
Virginia shakes her head, shutting her eyes. She looks down at the cat, seeing that it has returned to being a mere stuffed toy.
No! No!
She covers her face, concentrating deeply. The witch's cackle diminishes until it's gone. Virginia uncovers her face, looking around at the darkness. It is again peaceful. The stuffed cat is again real. She lets go of it. The cat trots off into the darkness. Virginia reaches out toward the cat, into the darkness. Interior, Virginia's room, day. The real Virginia reaches toward the wall. The stuffed cat is no longer on her lap. Doris comes into the room in a different dress. It's another day. She brings in a suitcase. She looks shocked to see Virginia with arms outstretched.
Virginia, why?
Virginia's arms are turned to her lap. She again stares out of the window. We see clothes arranged on the bed and around the room. Packing has been taking place. Doris puts the suitcase on the bed. She puts a hand on Virginia's hair, tenderly.
This will be best for you, you'll see. Best for all of us.
She goes to the bed and continues packing.
Laura, come in here, please. I need some help if we're going to leave by noon.
Unseen by Doris, Virginia's eyes track her across the room. Laura, a young maid, enters the room.
Yes, Miss Doris?
Finish with this case. And have you seen Mr. Fluff, Virginia's toy cat? I can't find it anywhere.
I don't know, Miss Doris. I haven't seen the thing in weeks. I thought you'd thrown it out, maybe.
Why would I? Oh, never mind. It's got to be somewhere around here. We'll just get it to her later.
The doorbell rings.
That's probably Dr. Richard. I'll take care of this.
Laura goes to answer the door. After packing for a bit, Doris stops. Something not quite right with the room. She turns around, staring bemusedly at Virginia. Virginia has a sly smile on her face.
Virginia, what did you do with Mr. Fluff?
Virginia continues to stare, but some kind of wicked fire lurks behind her eyes. Doris approaches her, staring into her eyes. She screams. Interior, Virginia's mind. Doris finds herself in the dimension of the black void. She panics, not knowing where to turn. Only black nothingness before her. She runs about, seeing nothing but void.
Virginia! Where are you?
Doris peers through the darkness and can see, as if from down a long tunnel, Laura entering the room with Richard.
Richard! Help me! Help me, please!
Doris runs again, trying vainly to find a way out. From out of the darkness comes the cat, Mr. Fluff, staring at Doris bemusedly. Doris falls to her knees, crying in defeat.
Richard!
Interior, Virginia's room, day. The sly smile is still on Virginia's face. We hear, as if from down a long tunnel, the faint voice of Doris screaming. It is slowly replaced by the sweet, cooing voice of the imaginary Doris.
You're my little girl, Virginia. I'll never leave you. Never leave you.
The voice
Never
echoes
leave you.
and fades away. Meanwhile, Richard and Laura search for Doris.
I don't know where she could be, Dr. Richard. She was here only a minute ago.
Fade out. Fade in. Interior, Virginia's room, day, a few days later. Richard enters. Laura finishes dressing Virginia. Laura smiles at him and leaves the room. Richard takes Virginia's arm, lifting her to her feet.
It's time to go to your new home now, Virginia. I don't want you to worry about a thing now.
Virginia's point of view flashes on the screen again as a montage. The street views, sun streaming through the trees, insects in the yard, intercut with Richard smiling lecherously at her.
We've always been friends, haven't we? I'll be taking care of you from now on. My good girl.
Again, we hear Doris screaming from a long distance.
Richard! Help me!
Virginia's eyes suddenly focus on Richard and her hand clamps onto his arm.
No, 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 no!
We fade out on Richard's muffled scream of terror.